Alright, Trips, hope you're having a good Monday. I wasn't even going to come on if I'm being honest, man. My head's a bit fucking topsy-turvy. Um, just family stuff. My brother had been AWOL for like 5 days, and my family were like, oh, we can't get in touch with him, and nobody's seen him, blah blah blah. And I think one of my relatives kind of had to contact the police to get somebody to do a welfare check on him because he hadn't been seen for like 5 or 6 days, and it's sort of character for him. I know he's got issues and all that, but um, when you're dealing with kind of addiction, somebody that's in the kind of in the thick of addiction, it's only to me there's only got to be one outcome of that. And last night I was very, very anxious. So obviously me and my brother live in the same building. I don't see much of him, but it's because we live different lifestyles, do you know what I mean? And the good thing is that he's still with us, but um, to me it's just only a matter of time if I'm being honest. I'd actually contacted, so we have like a concierge up here, and they're quite good. They're really friendly and they help a lot of people. Some people maybe know what to help, but it's their job and they'll just do it anyway. But like last night was just a horrible sensation because I was completely convinced my brother was lying dead in his house. Um, and my uncle was like, "You should be going down and kicking his front door in," and I'm like, "No, because I don't want, if there's anything in there, I don't want that image in my brain." So, but as I said, the good news is he's still here, and I suppose that's all you can kind of hope for. But um, it made me kind of think um, this this story that I read, which is from 2012 in America. Now, it doesn't really have any relevance to what I've just said, but what it made me think about is vulnerable groups, and how we as people treat vulnerable groups. Now, it may link in with that Dostoevsky famous quote, the degree of civilization can be judged by observing its prisons. Basically, how well we treat our prisoners, we can gauge how well our society functions, kind of thing. And obviously, whether some people like it or not, um, drug addicts are classed as a vulnerable group, same as homeless, um, and other groups that maybe people would never think of, like, oh, how are they vulnerable? But they are, because they're putting themselves in situations where the addiction or whatever is overriding their rational thought. And to be honest, my brother's like the lowest that I've ever seen him. So this is how I feel that this story would tie in, because one of the things about society, from what I can see, is a lot of people kind of mistreat vulnerable groups, disparage them, mock them, and the irony of this story is I probably done it myself back in my teenage years. So like when me and my friends were, this is just an example. So when me and my friends were teenagers, if we saw people doing certain things in the area, we would like assault them, and it would usually be people who were buying and selling, or selling heroin or consuming heroin. And the irony of that is both my parents were heroin addicts. Um, I've had a couple of uncles who were heroin addicts, and so therein lies the irony. So the point to me telling that was we're all human, we all kind of make bad decisions, poor decisions, do things we're no proud of. So that was the only reason I was kind of alluding to that. But the older that I get, the more that I see we as a collective kind of human group should be more understanding and empathetic towards people like that. And I'm not gonna lie, between some of my family members who have caused me untold problems and issues in the community through their own bad choices, their own addictions, like if I had hair in my head I'd have fucking pulled it out ages ago. That's my point. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take away the fact that it's your brother, your kid's mum, your sister, whatever. And the story that I was looking at was this homeless guy in America, Ronald Popo his name was. He lived in Miami, Florida. Now I don't know if he was born in Miami or he just found himself there, but from understanding his background, he was homeless, struggled for years, decades, right, with drug and alcohol abuse. He'd been shot, he'd done prison time, and when he reached the age of 64 or 65, now this case happened in 2012, right? It was underneath like a motorway in Miami down near the water, and I believe this part of the town might have been a bit more where kind of vagrants congregated and stuff, and you kind of see that in a lot of major cities, like underneath motorways they have all these kind of tents and makeshift shelters and all that stuff, because like you imagine sleeping on the street like that, like that would be monstrous, that would be just horrible. But apart, this guy must be made of strong shit, because this one day he's doing it the underneath this motorway, right, and this dude's walking past. His name was Rudy Eugene. He was only like 31 or something, and in the events leading up to this, witnesses had said they'd seen this guy like singing. He had no clothes on and all that. So to me, with like being somebody who's been around a lot of jails, done a lot of time, been around a lot of people, to me, what that sounds like straight away is either mental illness or drug-induced psychosis. Um, and what he did was this Rudy Eugene attacked Ronald Popo, kind of straddled him and just started gnawing his face, like eating his face, right? And the damage that this guy left on Ronald Popo's face was just catastrophic. Like he's blind, and he's basically, he must have punctured the guy's eyeballs with his teeth if he never used a weapon. And when Miami police were summoned and came to the scene, they basically had to shoot this guy dead, right? 5 times or something to shoot him. To me, that probably says more that this was some sort of major class A drug he's took. I can't think what it could be, because it sounds just do you know what it sounded like? See, what do you call that shit? The spice that people are taking in prison, just like having mad psychotic outbursts out of the blue. To me, this is what this sounds like, and I'll tell you why, right? When a lot of people were asked, do they know Rudy Eugene? They were all like, yeah, he would have been the last person we thought would have did this. He was always a nice, quiet guy, and he only ever used to smoke weed. He never took any other drug. Well, if that was weed that made him flip, that must be the most psychotic um, devil's dandruff weed you would ever find in anywhere. But to me, what it sounded more like was some sort of nightmarish hallucinogen, which like what do you call that shit? Is it PCP or something? To me, this is what this sounds like. He's just somebody's put that in his weed or some shit. I think, judging by the severity, the violence that was used in this offence, and I was quite shocked to kind of hear how the guy had no history of kind of mental illness or anything like that. Everybody seemed to speak really positively of him. This is the guy who was shot dead. He was the star QB, I think, for his school football team. So, by all accounts, somebody that's going to be a success in life, and just did the exact opposite. And the injuries he left this guy with were absolutely off the charts. And what struck me about this was Ronald Popo, when he was when he's in recovery for his injuries and stuff. He was like, it was just showing so much empathy towards his attacker that I actually thought was mind-boggling. And my reason for that is because imagine how you would feel, right? Say your brother, your mum, your dad, whatever, your kid's mum has got an addiction, right? And they're out sleeping rough, sleeping under bridges, in parks. One day you get a phone call. Somebody's just walked past and beat them to death, set them on fire, or whatever. There's untold amount of horrible things that could happen to them. And that was what made me think, like, my brother, my kid's mum, whatever, because who's to say if they make it to their 60s that this couldn't happen to them. And it is quite frightening, because it's like when you're a kid, you look at maybe somebody sleeping in a bench, or somebody who's downtrodden and whatever, right? And you're like, I'm glad that's not me, or you make an unkind comment or something, but you don't know that person's story. And I always do believe that we get back what we put out in the world. Some people get shit back they never put out, but I wouldn't say like I'm one of the people. I think all the prison time I got, I would say probably deserved it. I felt the system maybe could have went a bit better about recognising change, but this isn't just aimed at me. This is aimed at a lot of people doing time in Scotland, which I'll not really go into. But the empathy he showed to his attacker was just something that I had never expected to see. I expected, like, hope he rots every day in hell and all this kind of stuff, which is very understandable, but to be the exact opposite end of that spectrum was actually was a pretty sobering moment, and it made me obviously think to, like, because I've got like uncles who are maybe alcoholic, or they're this or they're that, and obviously they have their own roof over their heads, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that could easily be somebody like that, because you're in what you call a high risk environment. If you're sleeping on the streets, you're mixing with people who are in and out of prison taking drugs every day, then the chances are you're swimming with sharks, you're going to get bitten, into you. So, but apparently the guy was in the, know how in America you have to pay for your your health service. Well, they let him stay there for free, which was actually pretty good of them. But guys missing like 2 full eyeballs and everything, man, it's just like crazy. And just made me think to myself, like, imagine that was like your dad or your one of your relatives. Like, it's good to see it from the other side. But I always say as well that some of us who do this stuff in society, like if I go out and commit a crime, a serious crime, I feel that I'm also making my family victims, because they need to go through all this stuff as well. It's like, I've done it to them, it's no their fault or whatever, do you know what I mean? Unless obviously they're enabling my offending or covering up for something evil that I've done, that's different. Do you know what I mean? Cross the line then, aren't they? But that was the story I wanted to come on and tell, because it just made me think of the kind of wider attitudes towards vulnerable groups. And don't get me wrong, right, there's sometimes I'm quite harsh with like my brother or whoever, because I feel like you're just no helping yourself. But he's at the point he can't help himself. And it's been like this for 30 years. Do you know what I mean? It's sad, but we're always the ones left picking up the pieces when it comes to addiction. And I'm not going to lie, like when I was a teenager, I used to judge people for taking drugs, but then see when I actually went to prison and saw how normal it was and how nobody gave a fuck. It was almost like violence was normalised before I went to prison, but hard drug use wasn't, because I'd never seen it. I knew about it, I just didn't see it. I didn't see any of my uncles, like I saw them maybe smoke weed, never saw anything else until I went to prison. And it does kind of change your perception, do you know what I mean? But I think just saying there's wider things to consider than just you're just addicted and that's it. Maybe it starts out you're just dabbling, but and it's the horrible thing is I'm sitting watching this. Every time I see him, it's like he's dying a little bit each time I see him. It's fucking horrible, man. Even though last year, like, if you look at the videos on the ones I did, the one I'm covered in blood, that was for fighting with him. And it was his blood. That was a scary night, man. When he'd attacked his fella or something. But that's what I say, it just kind of hit me a bit. So I'm going to leave it there anyway. So hope you enjoyed that. I had a good day up in Edinburgh. Just to kind of sign off the aid and abet training. But see the trains, man, fuck me. Coming back through Glasgow Central and rush hour. Can't even fucking breathe it. You're turning around, somebody storm right up, like fucking hell. Good thing was, but there was a wee Spanish guy with a map. I knew he was Spanish because his accent, but I asked him if he was Spanish. And then he's like, hello, you take me, blah, blah, blah. Where's platform so-and-so? Like, you Spanish, aye? He's like, that's he, senor. It was with a lassie, I think it was his daughter. But aye, they're the wee humorous moments in my life. The wee strange moments like that. Like, must have been like, how the fuck does he know I'm Spanish? Know what I mean? But Anyway, just take care, right? And I'll see you all next time I'm back on. Catches.